Why does nothing change?
No re-render, right?
I never hooked up. I never subscribed to those. I never subscribed to the user changing, right? So it is totally legitimate that it doesn't change. I can now change the display name, but I won't see it instantaneously. Let's fix that. We can go into that user provider. This is going to get a little squirrely. Now, it means that when we log in, if there is a user, well, I totally want to go subscribe to that user profile and update this provider's state. And when they log out, I don't want to do that anymore, right? So we're going to subscribe to auth state change. And when that changes, we're going to then also subscribe to a document, right? So here we can say, if a user came in, that's where this is going to, well, we're going to update that last one anyway. We'll go ahead and we'll call this, that's called user auth. So if there is a user auth, then we'll go ahead and we'll get that current user. What I might consider doing is, instead of returning the whole document, at this point I'm just going to return the reference out of here. That feels like a better choice that I possibly could have considered earlier. So I'll go into Firebase, and I'm simply going to return the reference. So this is just going to be the place in the database. Where this happens. All right. So what we'll do here, this could happen either way. Probably didn't actually need to make that change, but it's fine. So we'll get the user ref in this case, and we'll say user ref on snapshot. So every time it changes, we'll go ahead and we'll say that the user snapshot ID, or UID in this case, yeah. Get everything out of there. All right, let's start with that and see how it goes for us. Now, whenever anything changes in here, you can see it's automatically changing in the UI. Yeah, so let's re-explain what just happened there, which is when the auth state changes, if there is a user, cool. What we're going to do is we're going to go subscribe to that user's user profile document, right? When we update this form, it's changing that document, right? So before, we were making all these changes to the user. We had to refresh to see them. Now we don't have to do that anymore. Now, when the user logs in, we find, OK, I know your UID. If you don't have a document, I'm going to create you one. If you do have a document, I'm going to go subscribe to it. And if you don't, I'm going to make one and then subscribe to it. And now any changes that happen to this user are automatically reflected in my UI. Bonus is writing that code was not the most fun I've ever had all day today. Right? I didn't enjoy that too much. But because I have this abstraction now of this user context, I don't have to write that again. Anyone who needs the user, I can basically say, here, have the user. I've done all the hard work, and it's a little bit of like extra steps of like listen for the auth state change. When the auth state changes, go find the document. With the document, go listen for the changes. But that's now abstracted away. and I've created myself something really useful that in the rest of my application, I can simply use that context, and I don't have to really worry about it again. We'll create one other component that manages user state, but good news, it's just going to leverage this one. Right? So that will also be really useful that like sometimes you have to write slightly squirrely code, but when you have to write really squirrely code, if you can hide it in a box somewhere and never look at it again, that's usually for the better, right? And should that squirrely code inevitably have bugs, well, you just fix it in that one place, right? Versus, I think what I used to do, which is spread my squirrely code throughout the code base. It was called job security. It worked out really great. It worked out so great they had to promote me. That's fine.